afternoon to everyone. I see we're coming from different parts of the world. So I'd like to introduce our speaker of tonight, Karla Rodríguez. Let me just say a little bit about Karla so we can start, and then Karla starts. So Karla Rodríguez is an English teacher. She teaches at elementary school here in Costa Rica, a public school. It's a Ministry of Public Education in Costa Rica. And she's been a teacher for the last 20 years. And she took the SIT-TESOL course with us at the Institute for Collaborative Learning in 2018. And I guess it was one of the last face-to-face courses. Now we're doing courses, but online. So we've been doing since before the pandemic, or when the pandemic arrived, it's been SIT-TESOL courses online. And Karla became passionate about teaching culture when she took our courses. Like one of the components, or one of the core components in the course is teaching about culture. In 2022, Karla was given an award for studying American education and culture with the, I hope, JEEM, how do you pronounce that, Karla? JEEM?
JEEM Scholarship.
JEEM Scholarship Program. And Karla will be talking about culture today, and also sharing a little bit about her experiences with this scholarship program, and sharing some information in case teachers are also interested in applying to this scholarship program. So I'll pass it over to you, Karla. Thank you so much for presenting about culture and talk about JEEM Scholarship Program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Van, and thank you, Mary, and thank you for the invitation to the Institute for Collaborative Language. And well, this is a great opportunity to share about culture, and I would love to think that this session is going to be something that we are going to work together, and we are going to build up knowledge together. And well, as Ivan said, I am an English teacher for the Ministry of Education, and I always have had this feeling of importance of being present in the class for the students. And when I took the TESOL course in the 2018, I really got connected with the topic of culture and how important it is to teach culture or be aware about culture in our classrooms and for our students. And well, as he said, last year I had the opportunity of being abroad, and I also had the chance to observe different teachers and with different environments and contexts in Bozeman, Montana. And there I observed classes from kindergarten to adults. And so I saw different situations and how this topic can be very important to share with other teachers and just reflect on how is the culture in the classroom. And while I was in Montana, I also had the opportunity to take 2 courses at the MSU, that is the Montana State University, and those courses were related to culture. One was called Multicultural Diversity, and the other one, Teaching Culturally and Linguistically to Diverse Students from K to 12. So during the time that I was there, I got some ideas that I hope that you get some information from what I am going to share with you. And I'm going to share the screen, so I will start my presentation. Some help here. Let's see. Please let me know if you can see them. Okay, I think that I am. Okay, there is the first one. Yes. Can you see the presentation now? Perfect. So the name of today's session is the role of culture. Thank you. The role of culture in language learning. And well, why did I choose the topic? As I said, and Ivan said, I'm kind of passionate about learning and about being aware about cultural in our classes. And also I think that every child comes from a different environment or different context, and that affects the way that they learn and the way that they share with other people around. So I invite you to reflect a little bit on this question, that is, what impact might it have if we teach culture in our daily classes, in our regular basis? So just take a few seconds to think what impact might it have if we teach the culture in our classes, in our language classes? And while you are thinking about that question, I'm going to show you these images. In this case, these are some pictures about regular students in a public school in Costa Rica. And in our classrooms, we have students from different cultures inside our country. We have people from other countries also, sometimes from Nicaragua, Honduras, but also from Europe or from North America in our classrooms. But when I think about culture, I think that it's not just the people from other countries. It also includes people from our country, but that they come from and specific groups like the indigenous people that we have in our country. And so I brought this picture about one of the groups of Costa Ricans, that is, in this case, the lady Idalia Andrade, that she is the first Costa Rican indigenous leader in our country. And also I want to mention this, that is a very popular man in Montana that I learned about him. He's a Native American guy, and he is an artist. So later in the presentation, you're going to listen to his music. And so I really got connected to how important it is to learn about our own culture. And in this case, in Montana, when I was there, I learned that they have 8 different tribes, 8 different Native American groups. And in Costa Rica, we have about 8 too. And sometimes we don't pay attention about our own culture and how it is subdivided in different groups also. Well, let's continue here. I would love to start the session with this activity, and I want you to participate with me. And let's suppose that we are taking attendance in a classroom, and we have this list of names. We have names from Asia, from India, and from other parts of the world. So just take a look at that slide and try to think, how could you pronounce the different names that appear there? Maybe some of you can guess what is the pronunciation. In my case, I think that most of them are kind of difficult according to the Costa Rican pronunciation that we have, the accent. Would you like to share with me if you can recognize any of those names, or how could you pronounce them? Okay, please feel free to write in the chat, or just open your microphone and tell me, how could you pronounce one of those names? Any guess?
I go for the easiest. Mohammed.
Yes.
Okay.
Ahmed.
Any other?
Shiu.
Okay.
Mohammed.
Zheng.
Okay. Nushi.
Okay, great.
Dhruv.
Well,
Yes, it's Nushi Mohammed, Mohammed Wei, Naya, Ishan, Jay, Inaya, Dhruv, Ahmed Ziu, Soyben, Zhang.
great. Well, I really don't have like the real pronunciation for each of those names, but the activity is related to that. How can what can be the approach that we use if we don't know how to pronounce them? If you have these students in your class and you don't know how to pronounce their names, okay?
Ask the person, how do you pronounce your name?
Great,
As
Christine,
a way to respect, right, her culture or his culture.
Yes, that could be the way that I do it. Yes. In my case, I think that the first thing that I will try to do is to get the list in advance, but sometimes we just get the list of students the day that we just have to teach the class. So we don't have the time to search about the pronunciation. But if we don't have the time, as Christine says, it is the best way is to ask the person. Well, in my case, I decide, like, ask the name, what's your name, before I mispronounce it. just ask them like, how do you pronounce your name? It's like a respect for the person. And this is just to create a little bit of awareness about how important and how the name is very related to the identity of the person, and how the name can be related to the culture or a cultural background. And an example that I used to, when I do this activity that I used to mention is like, for example, if I don't know, I'm going to take Christine's name, and if I don't know how to pronounce Christine, and I say, okay, yes, but it's kind of difficult to me. If I say to the student, well, I'm going to call you Cristina. So it doesn't work like that, because what do you think? Is the person going to feel okay with that? Maybe the student can say, that's fine, teacher, but you are taking away part of his personality. What do you think about it?
I remember something when I was in primary school, but I was a student, right? The professor said, you are Cristina because we are in Costa Rica. And I say, no, but my name is Christine. And he said, no, you will be called Cristina in this group. And that marked my life forever, because even the certificate was with Cristina Gamboa.
Oh my
and
goodness.
my mom said, but this is not you. They said, but that's the way they call me.
Oh
They still call me Cristina.
Yeah, so this is a great example of what I try to mean with this activity. Any other comment?
Karla,
Well,
I'm not sure if you saw in the chat, there's one here that from Joy. It says, if I don't get it, I ask the students their names the first day of school and practice pronouncing. I think that's so key. The practice of pronunciation is really important.
exactly. Yes, actually, for me, all these names that I present in the image are very strange and new. And so what I think is that when you ask the person, like, can you please tell me what's your name? So you ask the person to pronounce it, and you can take notes, and then you can practice it, yes, before the next class. And I have seen how the students, they really feel like grateful when you just call them by their actual name, as Christine said. Yes, thank you.
Yes, and actually, you know, when we met the group for the first time, well, we cannot like call the contents like the first few minutes of the class. We can do ice-breaking activity in which they can say their name, so we can pay attention to the way they say their names and so on, you know?
Yes, that's a great idea too. Well, I think that this activity just opened like the awareness that we are going to have during the session. And now let's see, let's continue here. Okay, this is today's agenda. And for a few minutes, we are going to be talking on these three aspects. The first one, I'm going to mention some perspective of culture. And I'm going to be talking about some ideas and information that I got from Dr. Udo Flock. And this is professor, and I had the opportunity to be in one of his sessions in a teachers conference in Helena, Montana. It was a MEP conference that it was from Montana Federation of Public Employees, and it was for teachers in October 21 from the 2022. And this doctor has a PhD in multicultural education and online technology. So the information that I will be mentioning is what I got from his session in that workshop. Then I would love if we can build up a little bit of knowledge about the role of culture in language learning. So all together in this session. And at the end, I will be telling you about some experiences that I had from my, from my scholarship abroad last year in Montana. And can you please get the Menti in your cell phone or in the computer? I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. And so we can have an activity. So you just go to www.menti.com.
I share the link in the chat, Karla, also the Menti,
oh, yes.
the Mentimeter.
Thank you.
Appreciate, yeah.
Yeah, just click on the link and you're going to get in the Menti application, in the Menti app. And I don't know if you have used it before. We are going to use it. We are going to use it twice today. And if you cannot get into Menti, you also can answer in the chat, in the Zoom chat. And there you have to type the number, this code, 52766133, please. And we're going to brainstorm what is culture. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I will share the Menti. Give me a second. Okay, it's beautiful. Okay, let's see, one moment. Okay, let me know if you can see the answers to the question, what is culture? And there we have different words. Culture is people, is identity. Okay. Great ideas. It is kind of hard to think about just one expression or one word when we are thinking about culture, but it's just to brainstorm some words before we start all the topic. Okay, beautiful. All we do related to what different wrong orders, traditions, shared sense of belonging, characteristics. Okay, that's nice. Okay. There is some noise. Ivan, can you confirm that I am sharing the screen about what is culture with the Menti?
Yeah, we're looking at the Menti cloud, word cloud.
Okay, great. Thank you. So you mentioned lifestyle, soul, ways of life, heritage, behavior. Okay. See. Okay, that's great. Okay, I'm going to continue with the presentation now. Well, see. As I said, most of the ideas that I'm going to be sharing about culture are based in the session that I was part of. I attended last year with Dr. Udo Flog, and the name of it was Cultural Competence Through Language Instruction. Okay, so some of the ideas that I got were related to the definition of culture. And according to him, he mentioned that culture involves beliefs, language, traditions, objects, and culture is learnable and it is passed from one generation to generation. And he mentioned in his session also like how important it is to create cultural competence. And he says that a person that has cultural competence can easily communicate with others. And there were three main concepts that were developed in that session that I would love to share with you. And the first one is how a class or how a group of people can be multicultural. And when I refer to multicultural groups, it's like when we have a classroom, a language classroom, for example, and we have group of people from different cultures or countries. And for example, we can have people from Asia, people from India, people from America, people from Central America. And so those groups of people makes the class multicultural. But then we have the concept that is called cross-cultural. And when we say cross-cultural, it means that the information is going to move from one group to another. But an example of this can be in a language classroom when we have an exposition of a culture, like when we are teaching, for example, English, and we can present some of the traditions about the English, like the Halloween in the United States or Thanksgiving. And so the students are just getting that information. So that is cross-cultural because the information passes from one group to the other. And the last one, the last concept is the intercultural. And in that way, what I understood is like in the same classroom, we have the different cultures, but the information flows from one group to another. And so each group is going to maintain or keep their own culture, but is going to learn about the culture that from the other people, from the other groups. And well, a way that I think that in our language classrooms, they can develop these intercultural situations is like having different opportunities of sharing real life situations. Like when we have an exchange student, for example, if we have the exchange student and that person interacts with our class, our students and their classmates, so they are going to be living like the opportunity to be in, for example, in our culture, but also sharing about his experiences, about his country or his traditions. And also when we have like some interactions in our class with students, like fairs, like when we have in October, especially in Costa Rica, that we celebrate the Day of Cultures. So we can have different activities with real life situations where they can share about food or about traditions of other cultures. So we can create an environment to make an intercultural class. And in the session that I was present with Dr. Udo Flog, he mentioned the importance of the relationship between culture and language and how each one influence one another. For example, every time that we are teaching a language, we are teaching the culture of that language in any way. And also, when we learn about culture, we learn a little bit about the language, about the idioms, about the way that the people talk or the people express themselves. Well, these concepts, we are going to work on them a little bit, so I would like to emphasize them again. So the multicultural is when we have different groups of people, but they keep their own culture. The cross-cultural is when we have a group of people, but one of the culture is just giving the information of its culture to the others, and they just listen and get the culture. And the intercultural situation is when the information goes from one group to the other, and they keep their own culture, but they are aware about the other cultures around. Okay.
Karla, in the chat, Maria Enriqueta shared that we are now in a multicultural meeting.
Oh, that's true. Yes, great. Thank you for that observation. Yes, that is a great example. We are in a multicultural meeting, and hopefully at the end of the session, we are going to have some intercultural exchanges. Yes. Okay, let's continue. And for this part, I would love to have some breakout rooms. Maybe Ivan or Mary can help us with that. And what I want is that you watch the video that I'm going to share. We're going to share in the chat. And this video is about the artist that I show at the beginning. His name is Superman, and he's a Native American. It's very popular in Montana. And well, I would love you to watch 1 minute and 50 seconds of the video and think about these questions. The first one is, which of the 3 previous studied concepts match better to the situation that happens in those seconds of the video, and why? And so you can comment about that, and then just reflect a little bit about under which concept can we place our language classes. If you are teachers right now, or you can talk about your own experience when you were at the university or at the high school. Were you in a multicultural language class, cross-cultural, or intercultural? So let's do this.
Well, I put already the information in the chat to everyone. So you have access to the video, the YouTube video, and the questions that are on the screen.
Actually, Yvonne,
Great.
there are some things changing with Zoom. And sometimes when you go to breakout rooms, you lose all the information on the chat. So I want to ask everyone to please copy the information from the chat right now so that you can get that, what you need for the breakout rooms.
That's a good idea, Mary. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You
Mary.
give us a thumbs up once you've copied it. I've got the breakout rooms ready. And how much time are we going to have, Karla?
Well, let's see. I think there can be like about 5 minutes because they need to watch the video and then comment on the questions. What do you think?
I think sometimes in breakout rooms, we need a little bit more time, and they might also want to just say hello and where they're from. So
Okay.
I would say like 8 or 9
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Can we take 10 minutes?
I think it's gonna be
Awesome. Because I think they're going to want to say hello to each other.
fine. Okay.
Is
great.
everyone ready? Hi, Maria Marta. Enjoy your son's birthday. Thank you for coming. Let's see. And if for some reason we're gonna be watching the breakout rooms. When we send you, if you're alone in your room, please don't panic. All right. We're gonna check, we're gonna be watching, and we'll either move you or move people into your room. If you're feeling alone or something, don't panic. We're gonna figure it out. So all right. I'm gonna open you up. Enjoy your time together. See. It looks like most people are going. We've got somebody in room 9 who's alone. Oh, no, they're not. Good. Taka Kane. Looks like all the rooms have at least 2 people in them. Yvonne, do you want to share that slide from your screen?
I can do that. I was trying to also pause the recording.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Multicultural or cross-cultural can be fine too.
Karla, do you mind when everybody comes back to explain it again? I think it'd be nice.
Fine.
Fantastic. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, is everyone back again? Everyone here?
I
Yes.
guess,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep, I think everyone's here.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
First
we
of
are
all,
back here.
First of all, I would love to have some comments from the breakout rooms, just briefly, and what were your impressions about the video?
Please, I want to talk because I have to leave from the meeting. It was a very interesting video. So in the breakout room, we comment about the music, we commented on the costume, and the makeup and the dance of them. So and one part of the music, it's like a rap, okay, and maybe the rap comes from from this culture, or I don't know, of it they use in their song. It was very nice. It was a nice experience, okay, to see this video. And so it's important if we compare with our culture, okay? So
I think we can take some things, maybe in my case, in my culture, for example, in the jungle, in Peru, in the jungle, it's just no, it's not so similar, but in other parts, we have some part of this calcium. And for me, it's very nice to compare this calcium for me. Okay, that's all.
Thank you for your participation. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Me?
Yes, David. David. Or
Well,
David.
I was really taken aback by the video for starters, because in my cultural background, native peoples have a very different form of expression. Then I was sitting watching them dancing and moving like that, and I was prepared to watch something about Native Americans dancing or something like that. And all of a sudden, a familiar voice could be heard, and I felt like I was in São Paulo listening to one of those street groups that communicate, and they go into competitions, rap competitions. I felt like that for a moment. So I mentioned to my mates in my group that it's like we have two cultures that touch each other, but they don't blend. So if I would define it as multicultural, cross-cultural, or intercultural, I would rather choose cross-cultural, because there is not a clear predominance of culture, and they don't touch each other. Well, they touch each other, but they don't blend, you know? So it was just an impression.
Okay, great. Well, actually, if there is not other comment, I will just give an explanation that I gave before to the Facebook participants. Like, when we think about culture that are not good or right or wrong, so it depends on your perception. It depends on how you perceive what is around you. So as you said, for you, it sounds like cross-cultural. In my case, I thought it could be a little bit of intercultural, because the Native Americans got this influence and they keep their own identity, but they make this music part of them so they can create something new. And the people, like the people that like rap or the other cultures can get a little bit of the Native American music or Native American experiences. So that was my perspective. But as I said, I think that there are not like rights or wrongs about culture. It's just how you see them. Yes. Thank you very much for your participation. It was a really good comment, David.
Something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, yes. I was gonna say something. It seems like this is intercultural, and as you were saying, every culture is different, and we cannot judge which one is right or wrong. The difference is the place where we live, the country where we live, and the communication we have. Sometimes that give us an opportunity or an idea to have different perspective about culture. But my culture can be really nice for me, but it may be seen not really well for other culture, because every culture is different. And the most important point is that differences give us a strong idea when we become about communication and respect and ideas and everything. And I think cultures covers more than that, just language. It covers more than the way we see our point of view, our interactions with others, and everything comes on when we talk about culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Beautiful comments. Well, I'm going to move to the next slide because I think there is a lot of, we need to answer to the other question, sorry. Like thinking about the language classes that you have been part of, that you teach, any comment about what kind of classes do you teach or what kind of classes are you part of? How are them? Do you think that they are multicultural, cross-cultural, or intercultural?
For me, I believe it's cross-cultural.
Yes, from my experience, I think that most of the time we are in multicultural classes. And so just from my experience teaching, just in few moments, we make the class a cross-cultural place when we just pass the information from one culture to the other. And in just few occasions, we can have an intercultural situation. And I think that can be, well, in my case, what I think is that that can be our goal, to get these intercultural classes where we can keep our own identity, but we can be aware about the other cultures. Well, I'm going to continue with the presentation. And
Karla, I was also thinking about time.
Yeah.
In case you like to share about the scholarship program.
Okay, great. Yes. Let's see. Well, we are going to continue with that. So do you think I need to move on the program, right? Let's see.
Maybe you can go to the takeaway slide and some comments, and then we move to the.
It's gonna be fine. I think it is a beautiful topic, and so it is like we need like more time to be commenting and just learning or sharing about it. Okay, I think there are. Okay, some key takeaways from the learning that I got there is like, well, we need to learn more about the cultures that we have in our classroom and be aware about what are the backgrounds or the context of the students that we have. Something good is to avoid saying generalizations, because as our participant said, like everyone is different, and so we need to respect each other. And also brainstorm about cultural connections. And when we say this, it's like have authentic materials about the culture that we are going to be teaching or that we are not going to have in our classes. And one of the benefits of learning languages is that it's like a mental exercise that helps us to understand better other people. Well, these are some of the takeaways. And well, this is the third part of the presentation. That is when I'm going to tell you a little bit about the experiences that I had at the JEEM Scholarship Program. And the JEEM Scholarship Program is called Joint Exchange in Educational Methodology. It is sponsored by the Hawillers family. That is a family in Montana in honor to his dad, that was a professor at the MSU, or Montana State University. And some of the opportunities that the scholarship gives to the participants is that, well, they let the people to be in a real cultural exchange experience with homestay, and the Hawillers family are the ones that host the scholar. And we have the opportunity to attend to university. In my case, I had the opportunity to attend to 2 courses twice a week. And also when we apply for the scholarship, we have to prepare a proposal of a project that we are going to develop when we come back home. And so they help you to get the information and to get some experiences that are going to improve the way that you can develop the project. And also, I got a view about social programs in their town and how they have daycare centers and also community places that they help adults and some homeless people. So those are some of the experiences. And well, the name of my project was Exchanging Culture by Learning English. So I had the opportunity of learning about some strategies for teaching English as a foreign language, and also about how to be aware of culture in the English language lessons classes. And also, well, observe different techniques from kindergarten to adults, and get some resources, to keep updated. In this case, about culture, as I was been talking, and about the information that I got from Dr. Udo Flock. He has a podcast that I will also share the link in the chat so you can get that information and you can listen to him. And he's an expert in culture themes, and there you can also practice English and learn about culture around the world. And let's see. Well, while I was there, I had the opportunity to be in a public school as a teacher aide for one of the English language teachers. And that was great because I was there like twice a week during 5 weeks. And so I think that is amazing to be, you know, like abroad, but learning, just not just attending university or listening to techniques or strategies about how to teach English or teach another language, but also being in a class and see what is the reality that the teachers have in that environment. So it's very, very nice. And here I have the link to the JEEM Scholarship. And I would like to share this one moment to show you.
We already shared the links in the chat, Karla.
Did you already share them?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And one moment.
Sharing in
Karla,
also
the scholarship,
Facebook.
the scholarship is open to people from all over the world, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's open for people all over the world, and especially for English language teachers, but also science teachers. So there are many opportunities. See.
Do you know if the program is open now, Karla, for 2023?
Okay. Yes. I asked about that this last week, and they told me that they're going to have their annual meeting at the midterm of February. So after that time, they are going to have the date for the application and the deadline for the application, but it is between March and May. And there, when you open the link, you can see that this is the website. It is sponsored by the Hawillers family in honor to the memory of Dr. James Hawiller. And it is supported by the university, Montana State University. Yes. So when you get into the website, you can find more information about the Montana State University. And there you have more explanation about the scholarship. And there, if you want to learn more, you can get here the objectives of the scholarship and some information about the project. What is how do they select the participant? What are the provisions of the award? And there are some pictures of the last recipients, and there is me. I was the 10th one, and I was the first one from America, actually, from Central America, and they have had people from Mongolia and from, let's see, Mongolia, there are, I don't know how to pronounce. Yeah, Uzbekistan.
Karla, I actually know her. When I saw that picture, I was like, oh, I know Dildora.
From Uzbekistan there?
Yes, from Uzbekistan. That's
oh.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, Dildora. Oh, that's great. Yes. So she was one of the participants, yes, of the scholars. Well, this was the information about the JEEM Scholar, and I have more time if you can stay for long. If you have any question or you want to talk a little bit more. And thank you for attending to this session. And I hope that my ideas or the information that I share with you are useful for your daily life and your classes.
Oh, thank you so much, Karla. I think it was really interesting. Really interesting. I'd love to hear from anybody who'd like to share.
Yes, thank you very much for everything. And yeah, I guess culture is very important in our classes. I'm from Costa Rica, you know, I'm teaching a public high school here in Costa Rica. And last year I put into practice one activity because they were supposed to, like we create something about culture in our classes, like in the last week of, the year. And I was teaching my students about La Fiesta de los Diablitos.
Oh,
And I
great.
didn't know about it before that time, so
Wow.
I had to investigate about it. I brought a video for my students and I taught them about, this Fiesta de los Diablitos, how it is important, how the Borucas celebrated, because it is a huge celebration for them. And it is important to them to know about it because, of course, that is something that happens here in Costa Rica and it is part of our culture too. So, yeah, kind of a little bit experience of me into this topic of culture. And my students really like it, because they didn't know about it. So they were very excited to know about this information. So it was very nice. The class was very nice, actually.
Thank you, Marjorie. That reminds me something that it is really, really important to tell you that it's like, I really understand that when you are in an exchange program, it helps you a lot to be aware about your own culture. Yes, because as you said, sometimes we don't search and we don't know a lot about where are we from.
Yes,
And
we are missing a lot of things.
yes,
So
and
we need
so
to.
it is great, like to be aware, not just about, we are English language teachers, so we are always thinking about how can I improve my knowledge about the English, like the British, the North Americans, how can I improve? But sometimes we also need to be aware about our own culture.
Exactly. So it was a great opportunity to bring that to my class, and my students really like it. So it was
Sounds
amazing.
Karla,
Karla.
Yeah.
something important that your contribution brought us was to remember to remind us that language has not an end in itself. If we are English teachers or Spanish teachers or whatever, we cannot teach a language by the language. We have to use the language to get somewhere else. We have to understand others' perspectives. We have to understand others' lifestyles. We have to understand other backgrounds. So language has not an end in itself. And it was a formidable presentation that you brought us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, and in the chat, Karla, participants are sharing gratitude. And I see Rosbelli.
Yes,
Go ahead.
sorry. I would like to know what's the main difference between each culture. I believe it's very important to know for integrated in my class. So I would like to explore and knowing about how I can integrate, for example, literature in my class.
Yeah, well, Rosbelli was the one that was talking. Yes, I part of the presentation, but I didn't have the time because it was very long. It was to mention or have some comments about how to teach culture, when and why. And of course, when we use literature, when we use books, readings, videos, okay, we are just transmitting or conveying culture into the students through those materials or through those resources. And I think that reading books is one of the best opportunities to just give a brief look at the culture of other places. I don't know if that answered the question or give a good comment on your question.
Yes, yes, it is. I mean, it's just you need to explore to have a communication with your students to know what do they like to read. I mean, you have to. Can you listen me?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, it depends on, yes, of course, it is nice to ask the students, like, yes, I think that you are saying, like, we can ask the students what are their preferences, what preferences do they have for reading, and that is going to be helpful just to include different backgrounds or contexts or cultures. And as the other participant said, like if you talk about the Fiesta de los Diablillos, that is a traditional from our indigenous groups, is going to, some people is going to feel like very taken into account if we are in one of those areas when we have this kind of population, or if we have Americans in our class, so we can just bring a book from another from the United States, or we have a French student, we can get a story from that place. I think that is important too.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's my perception. Yes, actually, I was going to show you this, but I don't know if I have the time. This is a book that I brought from Montana, and it is called Grandma and Grandpa's Adventures in Yellowstone National Park. And I had the pleasure to meet the author, Jack Day. And this book is divided in 12 chapters, and each chapter is a month of the year, and it has an animal per chapter. And I think that it is a way that they can get like just a little bit connected with another culture because of the different animals that they have and how they treat the nature and what are the seasons. So there are many ways, and I think that everything is related to culture. So that is so important. And as a conclusion, I wanted to say, like, culture is important because when we are aware about culture, we increase the tolerance among people. And that is something that is really important. And when we are aware about culture, we can think about just creating a better world for our students, for our family, for everyone.
Thank you so much, Karla. It was beautiful, creating a better world, working on culture, teaching and learning about culture. Thank you so much for tonight. I managed to share the PDF of the slides in case you would like to have access to. You can download them from the chat, and also share the Facebook Live, the recording. You can watch it again if you want to. And please fill the feedback form. It's very important. And we'll be having MEP Mondays in February. We'll let you know. We'll be sending invitations so you can join us too. Yeah, pass it over to Mary. Mary, would you like to do some closing remarks?
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Karla. Karla, thank you so much. It was so interesting. And thank you, everyone, for participating. Really, it was, I think that you really kind of hit the nail on the head when you talked about how when we learn about culture, we grow in our tolerance and our ability to really not only know the world, but to be in the world in a way that creates space for everyone. And so learning, it is really important learning. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I'm also really excited that you shared your experiences abroad with the scholarship, and then also the experiences you've had with the U.S. embassies. It's just, it's exciting to follow your path as a teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it. And I want to say hello to everyone that's here. Thank you all for coming. We have people from California, from Peru, from Brazil, from Venezuela, from Philippines, from Cameroon, from India, from I think Kenya and Nigeria. It's amazing. And I don't know what
in India and Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Yeah.
And Costa Rica.
All right. Thank
you.
Good
said,
day.
we'll send out information about the next one. It'll be in February.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much. Karla, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good day. Good night, everyone.
Have a great day. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye, David.
Oh,
Nice
thanks.
presentation. Thank you. Goodbye, my friends.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mary. Nice. See you next Monday.
Oh, thank you, Marilu. Thank you, Zelly.
Thank you so much, Karla.
Thank
You're very welcome.
Diego.
Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Paul.
Bye.
Oh, thanks, Diego. Thanks, Irene. Machi, Karla, Joy. Karla, how are you feeling? Oh, wait, we have to say goodbye to Facebook. Let's say goodbye to Facebook.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everyone.
Stop our
Yes,
recording.